Hello, I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Welcome to Let's Talk. Predicting success in the music business is nearly impossible. A musician needs talent, timing, tenacity, a good team, and luck. It also helps to be both relatable and distinctive. My guest today checks several of those boxes. Her music draws on folk and blues and Americana, but is uniquely hers. I'm not alone in thinking Joy Clark has a good shot at making it to the next level. And if she does, I'll look like a genius for having her on my show. Joy, thanks for being here.
Keith, thank you for having me. I love that intro.
You like that? I wrote that myself.
Good job. Good job.
So, a lot of folks don't know who you are and what you've done, but having seen you at Jazz Fest this past year, everything that I said in that intro is absolutely true. Did Jazz Fest feel like, this year's Jazz Fest feel like a bit of a breakout moment for you? Could you feel like momentum picking up after your performances this year?
Yes.
Elaborate.
I had the time of my life at Jazz Fest on the WLAE-TV stage. I remember, I can't remember which song I was playing, but just in the middle of it, as a performer, sometimes your mind is somewhere else when you're performing. You're not totally there. You're thinking about the sound. You're thinking about how your voice sounded on a certain note or whatever. But none of that was going on, and I just had so much. I was so satisfied, and I was in the moment, and I just saw everybody looking out, and I was having the time of my life, and that doesn't always happen, to be honest, as a performer, it doesn't always happen. But I wasn't concerned with anything. I was like, I'm on this stage at this time of my life, and I'm really grateful, and I love it here. I don't want to leave. So Jazz Fest did feel like I turned a little bit of a corner in my identity as an artist.
Absolutely, and I mean, I definitely heard people talking about you after the set, and and yeah, there was momentum, which it made it to me in my ivory tower as I sit there above it all, look down, and I'm like, oh wait, this person Joy Clark is really having a moment.
Thank you.
How did it compare? The other big moment, which people can see online, is at the Brandy Carlisle Festival last year.
Girls Just Wanna,
in Mexico. You were down there performing with Allison Russell, another Americana artist.
Yes.
And at some point in the show, you ended up singing
Landslide,
the Fleetwood Mac song, Landslide.
Yeah, so we talked about it before, and it's a cover that she does in her set, and it's also a cover that I do sometimes in my set. So it was great planning. So she sang the first part in French, and the second part she was like, Joy, you want to sing? I was like, of course, I'll do it. And Girls Just Wanna. This was the first night, and Brandy Carlisle's fandom is pretty wild. So it was maybe 10,000 people. I don't know.
10,000 people watching.
Yeah, it was 10,000 people. And when I stepped up to the mic to sing, I was ready. I was feeling so good, and I knew it was a huge moment. And I also wasn't ready for people to start singing along.
Right.
Because, that doesn't happen all the time. That hasn't happened yet for me. Like you get your little packs of people singing it, which I am thankful for. When you have that many people singing along and you see the lights, and I just stopped and smiled. Like I couldn't even act like I didn't feel it. I had to just smile and step back like, this is a huge moment. That was a big moment as well. And I felt like it wouldn't be my last, I felt like this is how it's going to be,
Which is not disagreeable to you. You'd be fine if those are people singing your song as opposed to singing along. Yes.
I mean, I can visualize it now. Like that's why I continue to write. I wanna be able to have that connection with people. That's why I do what I do. I feel closer when I can connect with other people, and then it makes me feel closer to myself as well. So, yeah.
So for you, writing music is a bit of a process of self-discovery as well as a way to connect with other people. Yeah.
Right, because one thing you discover is when you do get your feelings out onto paper, when it comes through my guitar, and then I can translate what my guitar is saying. And then when the audience hears it, I love when people can say, oh, yes, I felt that. Like, this is gonna help, this song is gonna help so many people. It helped me. So that's what keeps me going when it's hard. Because it's not easy.
It's not easy. No, it never is. I mean, like I said, making it, I mean, in the business you've chosen is not a given. It's not just hard work. I mean, you have to do that, but it takes a lot of other things as well. You have to grind, and things have to fall in place.
Yes, and I think for me, being on the scene in New Orleans, just the way I emerged onto the scene, I'm pretty quiet. It wasn't like, I'm a singer-songwriter and I'm going to do this and I'm going to get attention of people. I really, I look back on it, I didn't know about the music industry. That wasn't a goal. It was just, I want to play. So if somebody, if a friend approached me or someone had a project, hey, I need a guitarist for this, or I'm doing this, come sit in, then I was just open to do it. And that's sort of how that's how I kind of emerged onto the scene. But I wasn't thinking about journalism. I wasn't thinking about getting into any magazines. It was just, okay, I'm here and I'm gonna serve and I'm gonna support people the way that I can. And yeah.
Before you even thought about being
Before I even thought
leading your own project. I mean, you were just gonna play.
Yeah, I was just on the scene and sort of making a name quietly, sort of behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because it's not an overnight situation with you. I mean,
No.
you've been plugging away at this for years. So let's go all the way back, though. You grew up in Harvey.
Yes, I grew up in Woodmere, the youngest of 5 kids. I have a pretty interesting story that sometimes I forget myself. I was homeschooled. Youngest of 5 kids. I got 2 sisters, 2 brothers, and we grew up in a pretty tightly knit household. If you're homeschooled, you end up spending a lot of time with each other and watching movies and coming up with really crazy inside jokes and just bonding. And my mom created our home. My dad was an English teacher for years in Jefferson Parish. And he's also a minister. So there was always music. There was always music around, and I remember harmonizing with him in the car, and we'd sing songs from movies, and we'd all take apart, and that's the kind of house we grew up in. We did a lot of things together, and and music. I guess music came in from church and from learning different songs at church, and my grandpa also sang, and music was there, and it's kind of that's my early years.
So your siblings were your first band, basically. You guys were
you were
a gang. Yeah, you were like
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it's sort of my first band, and that was actually before I started playing guitar. But when I did start playing guitar, or I got interested in the guitar, my brother played drums. And I'm kind of getting into the story I don't normally tell, but our neighbors, my brother's friend, his dad played in the Catholic Church, and he played guitar. So he just had like a Les Paul at his house.
Les Paul guitar.
And he would let me play it, even though I had no idea what I was doing. But from then on, I just found that support, and he would let me play his guitar, and we had a band called the Shoeless Crew.
The Shoeless Crew.
Yeah, we had to take our shoes off before we came into the house. And so we never had shoes on, so we called it the Shoeless Crew. So, I played things by ear all the time. I had a little Casio keyboard. I would play Boyz II Men songs by ear, and Celine Dion songs by ear, and Sheryl Crow and Shaka Khan, So I just discovered that I had a pretty good ear, and started learning some folk chords, and started playing in church when I was about 13, 14.
And this is a non-denominational church?
Non-denominational church, so full gospel. If you laying on of hands, speaking in tongues, lifting
the whole bit,
lifting hands, the whole thing.
Whole thing.
So, and a lot of the songs we did were like 3-chord songs, sometimes 4-chord songs. So I started to, when I learned those like cowboy chords, full chords, I just turned it into learning really simple songs at church, like "This is the day," this. And I started to figure out what the 1 chord was, or the G, and then the D, and the C. And that's when I started playing in church, and my brother was playing drums, and we did not have a bass player. So a lot of the way that I play guitar, I do hold down the lower end.
Because you didn't have a bass player at the time,
so you had to do it on the guitar. So
Right.
I had to keep that low end and keep the chuck going, along with the drums, and figure it out.
And that still is evident in what you do now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. That's kind of the story about, supposedly Professor Longhair, the great New Orleans piano player, learned to play on a piano that was missing certain keys, like it literally didn't have the keys, so that affected the way he played. And it's kind of the same thing with you. I mean, you were adjusting to the reality of the situation. Yeah, necessity, right.
Necessity. Right. It's amazing what that will do. You have to alter it.
Yeah, and it gives you something distinctive a little bit about the way you play. That's not the standard.
It's not the standard of playing certain licks from songs. It's like, no, I got to hold down the root of the song. Worry about the licks later when the bass is held down.
Right, right. Yeah. So playing in church like that, where, like you said, people were speaking in tongues and falling out. I mean, did you expect your audiences to do that at Jazz Fest? Are you gonna, do you feel like, oh wait, I'm not really reaching these people? They're not like reacting like the church people did.
No. But I had a little crew in front that kind of stood in for that. So. I did feel the energy. No, I'm totally prepared for when people are listening as well. I do I love a listening crowd, and I love a crowd that's feeling it, that's standing up. That's why I like to have on those types of stages, I like to have my acoustic and I like to have my electric, because you can always change the flow, so it's not just one note.
Right.
Of a performance.
And you write songs that reward listening. I mean, lyrically, you have something to say in them, and I get the sense, oftentimes autobiographical, excuse me, but can apply to other people's lives as well.
Yes, you're spot on, and I think you've been listening.
It's my job. It's what I do. Yes.
It's rewarding. Yes, it's rewarding when I can. When someone is actually listening to what I'm saying, and it's not just about me tearing up a solo and, oh, okay. I love, because I'm a songwriter, so I do love to know how people heard a certain lyric, or, if something is, really clicking with them, or makes them feel something. Some folks will ask me, what's your genre? And I think I just say, I make people cry.
Make people cry.
My genre is crying. Because that's what happens. The feedback when people listen to my songs, I was listening to your song and it was tears of joy. I cried. I felt like this. I thought about my mom. I thought about my dad. I thought about this time in my life, or so yeah, that's a component of my performance, and I think that does also come from church. When I was playing in church, there are these moments in church when someone is prophesying, or something is going on to where you are a little bit of the soundtrack, so you play to support that moment.
Right.
And it's not about you, it's about what's happening, so you create that, you create an atmosphere, and you foster that through music and through supporting whatever the person is speaking about. And you don't step on anybody, you just you support their story, what they're saying, and it's emotional, and that's what music is. And I've seen it happen. You know, I've done it. I've practiced that. That's my practice. So I feel like whenever I'm writing, I'm doing that with myself. You know.
Absolutely.
So, you know, church is in there. I can't take it out.
No, and I've often thought, I mean, there is no better training ground for a musician than playing in those churches like that, because you know, like you said, you need to support what's going on. You need to support whether it's the preacher or the leader of the band. You want to get reactions from people, and you've got to be in the moment. You know, you've got to adjust to what's going on, and you've got to be able to play a lot of different things.
Yes.
You know, so it's an incredible training ground.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best training ground.
You also spent some time in Cyril Neville's band.
Yeah.
What did you pick up from Cyril?
You know what? That's pretty much church. Yeah,
Same thing.
Cyril. Oh, man, I picked up so much from Cyril Neville. He's one where he's out in front, and you're pretty much looking at the back of him the most of the time. And yeah, you have the song that you're playing, and then there's the song that song goes into. And you have to watch and you have to listen. It's high energy all the time. It's up. That's what I learned. It was like a continuation from church, and also a lesson in funk. Just a master class in funk, and he's got such a rock vocal.
I mean, Aaron Neville, his brother, has said that Cyril was the best singer in the Neville brothers. I mean, which is huge praise. But I mean, he is such a soulful singer.
Yes, just being on stage with him, it's like he hasn't lost a thing. He's only gained. We had I think like a twice a week at the Royal Sonesta. Maybe this was like 2018, and we would play 2 shows. I think we would play 2 shows, yeah. And it was just the best training ground for being on the scene, being a great musician, listening, and just the camaraderie of that band was amazing. You solo and you hand it off to another. It was 2 guitarists. It was me and Greg Molinario, and I mean it was banging. It was banging. So I love to think about how that trained me. I learned so much from him.
Right. I mean, you learn lessons not just musical, but about being a band leader, about how to front a band, and that's as you segue into leading your own thing. Yeah,
the learning never stops. It never stops, and I think I've been able to merge what I've been trained in into my own presentation of my own music, you know.
Relatable but distinctive, like I said in the intro. Yes, that's what it's got to be. Learning, you went to University of New Orleans? What'd you study?
I graduated from there. I didn't. I did interdisciplinary studies, which was pretty much general studies, but I focused on sociology, history, and English. And then at the culmination of that, I did like a capstone like project paper and how all of those things work together in my college career. So it was, but I did also take a little bit of music. I didn't get a degree in music. But I did musicianship and did a little bit of piano, did chorale, and choir. But I did a lot of, at one point I wanted to be a sociology professor. It was either going to be sociology or history. So I did a lot of studying civil rights era and sociology, and did a lot of reading and writing.
All of which helps with lyric writing, I would imagine. All those disciplines you just mentioned are things that can factor into lyric writing. I mean,
yes, because you want brevity.
Right.
When one thing I learned at writing on the college level is get to the point. Take words out. You don't need all of these words, which is sort of the same in songwriting. The type of songwriting I'm drawn to is subtraction. Take this word out.
Yes.
It doesn't flow. You're going to forget that word. Take this out. So, yeah, that was training for being a singer-songwriter. Is take all of these words out. You don't need them, which pretty much what I did at UNO.
You got to boil it down.
Yeah,
you know?
gotta boil it down.
It's similar with, when I write an article. I mean, you want to say what you need to say in the fewest possible words.
Fewest.
I mean, partly because people have limited attention span and limited time, but you just want to get to the point. And when you've got a 3.5-minute song, it's even more important. I mean,
Exactly. So, my college career was a lot of editing papers, writing, talking to professors, meeting people from everywhere. It's a pretty metropolitan university. So, really enhanced me as a person. Coming from a homeschool background and then jumping to UNO, that was, I don't think about it a lot, but I really rolled with it. I thrived in meeting new people from different countries, from other countries, and sort of finding my place, but not really knowing where in the world I was going to be. That's college.
Right, right. Not realizing you'd be on stage at Brandi Carlile's festival in Mexico singing Landslide to 10,000 people.
No idea. No idea, yeah.
Well, so, and in this genre, I mean, it's not, you've talked about how it's not something that, a lot of really black performers perform in the sort of broader Americana genre. There's an organization that you've been involved with in Nashville, Black Opry.
Yeah, I did some performances with them at the end of 2021, and I got connected with a few people through that, and yeah, it was a nice community of artists that got together and played songs with each other, and really felt that being around those artists that I got to meet in 2021, I felt like there was a community there, and I felt like I wasn't the only one, because growing up on this scene, or just in general, a lot of the rooms or a lot of the song swaps that I would be a part of, I was always usually the only black person. Or if somebody wanted me on the bill, I was probably the only black person. So it was nice at that time to see, okay, I'm not the only black person. We just don't know each other. So,
right.
You change that and you know each other, and then you co-write, and then okay, it's not just me.
Right.
And that's great, because psychologically, when you think it's just you, that kind of does something to you. Then you begin to feel threatened if you see someone else, and like, oh well, since there's always, if there's already this one, then my chances of making it is few and far between. But it's actually the opposite. You have to work together. So
right.
I've really been blessed to have a tight community here of people that I know, and then in the broader community, and nationally and internationally, we're everywhere. So, and we've always been everywhere. It's just the perception is that we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, and there was a tradition of black musicians playing, Appalachian music and country music and fiddle music and all those sorts of things. I mean, that was, and somewhere along the way it got lost.
We were all together. Well, yeah, there's a, yes.
That's a whole, it's a very long story. Yes,
we
have 4 minutes, so we don't have time to get
but the banjo is a West African instrument.
Right, exactly.
And then somewhere along the line it gets gentrified a bit, and folks don't want to associate with it, so.
Exactly, it's interesting how those things work.
We're reclaiming that.
You're getting better at mentioning things that you're doing and people you've associated with.
Yeah.
Your manager's emphasizing to you, don't be shy about saying I've done this, this, and this, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm doing some things. I'm on the scene, Keith.
Joy, that's great.
Yeah, I've got a big performance coming up at the Kennedy Center on September 7th.
In Washington, D.C.,
Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center, Millennium Stage. I'm going to be featured doing a solo acoustic set there, all original music, and I couldn't be more proud and more excited. And What else am I doing? I'm
You said
going on.
we shot a PBS special. Where you said
Yeah,
yes?
Rhiannon Giddens has a PBS series called My Music, and I was a featured performer on there, featured artist. We did a cool interview. It's up on pbs.org. You know,
Okay, sure.
You can check that out if I can plug that.
Yes, absolutely.
But yo, man, meeting and talking to such a Renaissance woman as Rhiannon Giddens, oh, she's lovely, and we got to collaborate on one of my songs, "I Will Be Here," and I will never get over that.
No, that's
I'm never getting over that.
She's an impressive artist on every level.
Yes.
And yeah, and again, the fact that folks like that and Alison Russell and Brandy Carlisle want to associate with you and work with you, that's
You know,
that's
it's saying something, you know. You know, every day, every morning, I just, oh, yes, this is happening. This is happening. Yeah, you are in there. You're in there, and you've worked for this. So, I'm having the absolute best time in my life. Homeschooler from Woodmere.
a homeschooler from Woodmere.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Yeah, you know.
Well, good deal. Well, let's see, where can people go to hear your music? What's your website? It's
JoyClarkMusic.com.
JoyClarkMusic.com.
You can go there and Joy Clark Music on all the platforms that you use. Yeah, that's where people can find me, and musing about different things and talking about the wind and trees and my family and horses and donuts. Yeah. You can
all your interests.
All my interests, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Real quick, we only got a minute left.
Yeah.
The Kennedy Center. Are you nervous about that at all? I mean, that's a huge.
No,
game.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's going to be a beautiful room. You know, as a singer-songwriter, as a performer, I love rooms that have just beautiful walls, and I know the acoustics are going to be just out of this world. So I can't wait. And I got friends that are going to come, and you know, mentors that are probably going to show up, and yeah. So
all right.
I'm excited about that, Keith.
It's another step on the road. So
one step in the right direction.
Another step in the right direction. Well, as I said in the intro, you know, I hope you do well for yourself, and also because you'll make me look really good, really smart for having you on this early in your career. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This has been a lot of fun.
Thank
Cool.
you.
All right, and thank you guys for watching. I'm Keith Spera. I'll see you next time on Let's Talk.